This level is absolute hell if you're trying to ace it, but luckily it's much simpler this time around. Um, all you're doing is um, aiming kind of through the upper torch here on the left and having it rebound off to hit the lower torch. Then you immediately suicide and just do the exact same thing um, on the opposite side. It's a very quick one. And I got the elusive feather. Okay. Our level 10 time was a little bit less than 2 seconds, which is a good par. On to level 11. Um, what I usually do is just throw one fireball down here into this little pit and have it bounce around, hit the two torches down there. Then I suicide and throw another fireball at this torch. About 2.2 seconds to 12. For this level, what I like to do is throw it off the left wall, kind of at this angle here at full power. What it usually likes to do is bounce down and it'll hit a couple torches, and the key is that it'll kind of get stuck up in this area. It won't be able to bounce out, and then it'll just kind of rebound over and hit the other torches. Um, either wall is technically fine, but I kind of prefer the left side. Uh, so our time on this level was 1.344 seconds. So moving on to level 13. This one you kind of have to use partial power. What you want to do is basically throw it down at the side of the wall and kind of at a rather low angle here. You just kind of want to throw it down here, and what you want it to do is bounce back up and hit the torch um, as soon as possible. It's okay if it bounces around a bit. Our time was 1.345 seconds. We can actually do much faster than that later if we wanted. But level 14. This one's pretty easy. You basically uh, go full power for the left torch. It'll bounce down and hit the right torch. Time was 1.154 seconds. On to level 15. For this one, it's actually a little bit difficult to find a good strategy for. It's basically a lot of luck. But what I generally try to do is throw the ball usually kind of behind the upper torches, kind of at this angle, um, and have them light, the upper torches and have it bounce around and light up some other things. Or you can do it from this side too, it's sort of the same thing. But the idea is that I try to have it bounce around and hit around 5 torches or so very quickly, and then I suicide and use another torch to, or sorry, yeah, another fireball to aim for whatever I miss. I found that that's usually the quickest way to do it. And I usually start by aiming for the upper torches, um, behind the torches up on the wood, aiming downwards. That wasn't bad. This was around 3.395 seconds, which is by no means a bad time for this level. Level 16. For this level, I find that it's easier to use all 3 shots. I like to kind of throw shots off the wall like this, kind of at this high angle at full power, where your guideline is kind of aiming through this line of 4 torches here. If you pay attention to my cursor now and not the guideline, these kind of torches here. What I like to do is, upon throwing my first ball, I wait until it hits roughly 7 to 8 torches, and then I suicide and use the other 2 to kind of aim at random spots, either off the wall or down here at the pillars, through torches I haven't lit, to make up the remainder of the torches I haven't, touched, and hopefully get to 14 quickly that way. The time for that one was around a little bit over 5 seconds. It's kind of a gross time, really, but it's good enough for now. We can always go back later to fix it. Level 17. Um, this one, you're basically throwing um, kind of at a hard angle like this. You want it to bounce off the wall and hit the pillar down here, this pillar, and have it bounce back up and hit these two torches. Then you suicide and then throw another one kind of at a little bit of a higher angle so that it goes down a little bit lower and hits like the lower pillars down here next to the torch. Um, two separate shots, one kind of low, one kind of high. That's a low shot, now the high shot. When we check our time for 17, it's around 2.573 seconds. And the Konami number again. So on to 18. This one is really hard to optimize, and so I recommend just spending a little bit of time aiming for this one, just to get it over with. But basically, you can ace this one by aiming. You see the dark bases, if you pay attention to my cursor, the dark bases at the torch, the kind of dark brown rectangle here. What you want to do is aim your cursor a little bit up and to the left of the brown base of that torch until your guideline kind of arcs up at this sharp angle here. And what it'll do is hopefully ace all the or ace the entire level. You can always go back later and try to use multiple shots, but it's a huge headache to try to do it this way, I think. And so I just recommend that for the purposes of getting 160, just to go ahead, spend a very, very small amount of time, you know, dragging your cursor to the upper left area of that brown spot, and then quickly adjusting until you get that line. And if you don't do it quickly enough, just go ahead and restart. You just want to get that hard line there quickly and then release, and hopefully you ace it. Yeah, but that's an ace. See, it only took a little bit of time to set that shot up. You don't want to waste too much time there. So the time for that level was, oh, that's disgusting. About 6 seconds. Again, it's one of those levels you can always go back to later. 16 and 17 have a lot of time you can cut off depending on how much you want to optimize them. So if you're over 160 later, consider going back to these two levels. So going to level 19. This one I also do in 2 shots. I usually use partial power. I aim for this torch up here, but you want to aim it kind of at the hole next to it. The idea is that you want the fireball to go through that hole after hitting the first torch, and then you want it to bounce around down there to hit the lower torch, and then you immediately suicide and then throw a second fireball at this torch directly at full power. It actually only took 2 tries. That was a little bit under 3 seconds, which is a decent time for this level. 20. There are many ways to do this level, but for the sake of time, I'll show you one way that I know works pretty well. For your first shot, you can spend a little bit of time setting this one up, but you want to keep the tip of your cursor lined up roughly with the first black line below the first row of stones here, the black line that you can see in the pillars. You want your cursor kind of lined up along that line, and then kind of in the middle of the pit down here. There's a couple spots down here where the ball will rebound off to the right and hit the torch. And once you do that, you just immediately suicide and throw a second ball at full power at the other torch. Our time for level 20 was around 3.362 seconds. Moving on to 21.